Sorry about that. Once you yawn, everybody yawns. Okay, here we go. 5 seconds. 4. All right. Well, Kufar Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Crossing the Crescent discussion group. We are here live every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We normally run for about 2 hours. Today we'll probably run for about 2 hours, but Tuesdays we're normally, well, we try to go for 2 hours, but we've been doing an hour and a half, and we're going to have to do another hour and a half this week because we're having revival services this week at church. So they start at 6:30 Central Standard Time. So I have to be there no later than 6:30. So this Tuesday, just go ahead and plan for an hour and a half, and we'll be done also. Okay, well, welcome, everybody. I see the chats. We've had quite a few people in chat already. Thank you for coming. XYZ posts this, this, it looks like guitars and like what is that thing called with music? It's got the line and got the
a staff.
Is that what it's called?
Are you talking about the notes?
Yeah, it's like a note, but this one.
Those two notes together, those are eighth marks together. Eighth notes together.
I don't know what that is. That's okay. Clef, Andrew, I do not know anything about music. I was in choir.
The notes, how fast you play the notes.
Yes.
Where they're connected, how they're connected.
When they're connected, there's two eighth notes together. That's all it is. So only 1/8 of a beat.
Okay, so you're telling that to somebody that has no rhythm to begin with. So I had, see, and that's the thing about people. We were talking about that before the show. I have all kinds of respect for people who can play instruments and can read music, because I've never been able to grasp that. I can't even. I have a terrible singing voice. All of that stuff. People that have that talent. Sometimes they don't know how lucky they are. Well, maybe they do know how lucky they are because they listen to everybody else try to sing and play an instrument. And they go, man, you suck. You just need to shut up or sit in the back of the church and don't sing, buddy. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but it is true. I mean, so people who can sing and who can read music and who can play music, hats off to you. Kudos. That does take some type of talent. All right, so today we're going to talk about Mecca again. How do we know that Mecca, the Mecca that exists today in Saudi Arabia, how do we know that Mecca is the same Mecca that is spoken of the one time it's mentioned in the Quran, but also in the Islamic literature? Jay Smith does it, and this slideshow is his. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to try to say that I made all this stuff myself, because actually it's actually a really good slideshow. But Jay Smith always says the book and the man. Stick with the book and the man. You stick with the book and the man. You can't, that's all that Islam is: the book, the Quran, and the man. So you must be able to demonstrate that the book is valid and that the man was indeed a prophet. And if you focus on that, you can't go wrong. Everything else, everybody would start calling you names, saying, "Oh, well, you're a hater, you're a bigot, you're an Islamophobe, whatever the heck it is." So the main thing is to keep the main thing, the book and the man. Well, recent research has demonstrated that there's a third leg to this stool, and that is the location. And that's what we're going to be speaking mostly about today. So I want to start with, and this is, we were talking about this before, the G Cliff on the music staff.
That's what she has there. One of the symbols that she has there. It's a G clef on a music staff.
Okay, so there you go. You might as well just be Arabic. I don't know what it is.
My father taught music for 35 years, and the reason why we were talking about music before is he's not fully with us these days, and today he played the piano for an hour, and it was just wonderful to hear. Yeah. And sometimes you just enjoy those moments with your parents.
Sure. Absolutely. And you're right, because that's what's got us on talking about all these musical stuff. Okay, so there was something that we were also discussing pre-show that Paul had sent us about chronological order. And this is so very important, especially when we talk about the Quran. The Quran has so many anachronisms, and we went through this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about how Joseph was sold into slavery for coins. Well, Joseph existed about 1800 BC, but coins were not invented or used until I think it was the 9th century BC. So we're over 600-700 years off before coins were even used. Then on top of that, the type of coins that is spoken of in the Quran weren't even in existence until I think it's the 4th century BC. So that's just one inaccurate. You have we mentioned this also. You also have a Samaritan helping Aaron build a golden calf at Mount Sinai. Well, Mount Sinai is 1500 BC, and the Samaritans didn't come into existence until after 721 BC. So he's only 700 years off there. So so when we start talking about showing that the Quran is and cannot be from God, a God or any God, any type of deity, because it's so full of holes, you can use an anachronism. But Paul also used this, and this is chronology. So Paul, if you could explain this to us, please. DL is having a good time with it too.
So part of I'm working with Dr. Kufarphobia doing Dissecting the Quran series, and this comes from a piece that we did with Usama Dakdak on Wednesday. Quran 6:84-87 tells us Allah does not know the chronological order of the people in these verses. So think about the people here. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, both we guided, and Noah we guided among his descendants. David and Solomon. I mean, it's a huge jump from Noah to David, Solomon. Okay, Solomon is David's son. Okay, Job is before all of these, so he doesn't know that. Then he goes back to Joseph, and wait a minute. Then we're up to Moses and Aaron, so we're going wildly. He has no idea how the chronological order. Then he skips up to Zacharias and John, the father of John the Baptist, and then we're talking about Isa, which is supposed to be Jesus. Okay, that comes after John the Baptist. We get that. Then we're going back to Elijah, and then all of a sudden he mentions Ishmael, and then Elisha. And then we're going back to Lot. He has no clue as to the chronological order. That's the best Allah can give us. That's to me is full of humor. I mean, that says something. If that's Allah's best.
Okay, let me just put some dates to some of this stuff. And if I'm wrong on these dates, please correct me. Okay, so when we're talking about Abraham, hold on, let me get over here. Abraham, where is my...
Yeah, we saw it. We can see your pony.
Okay, so here you have Abraham. That's 2000 BC. Isaac's about 1900 BC. Jacob, about 1800 BC. Noah is 2400 BC. David is 1000 BC. Solomon would be 900 BC. Job is poetry, so we really don't. It's the oldest book of the Bible, so we really don't know when Job supposedly lived. Joseph. Now, if we're talking about Joseph, the father of Jesus, that's first century AD. Moses is 1000.
No, this is more likely.
Jacob's son Joseph. Yeah. Okay.
Jacob's son.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. So that's 1800 BC. Moses is 1400, 1500 BC. Same with Aaron. Zacharias, first century AD. John the Baptist, first century AD. Jesus, first century AD. Elijah, 700 BC. Ishmael, 1800 BC. Elisha, 700 BC, 600 BC. Eunice, who's Eunice?
I couldn't figure that one out.
Eunice is Jonah.
Jonah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so Jonah would be 600 BC, and then Lot, of course, you're pushed clear back to time of Abraham, about 1900 BC. So they are all over the map on that thing. So that's if you're talking about chronological order, and this is where you can always tell somebody is making it up as they go when they can't even keep something as simple as a chronological order in the proper order, or at the same time not know how all of these different people are connected in the Bible. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to what we were going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Mecca. So you have the Book of the Man and the location, and that's what we're going to focus on today. But we're going to start off with looking at the necessity. Oh, here's John. John just got here. Kufar phobia. Okay, look, Kufar phobia. Listen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Well, everybody.
Okay, if you ever want to get mad, go to one of his clubhouse rooms. I was in there yesterday, and we were trying to have conversations, and people are just stepping on. I don't know how many times I had to put people in the audience and just say, people, and then you mute them, and then they keep unmuting themselves and keep on talking over everybody else. And I don't think I had been that frustrated in a long time. And you want to continue the conversation, but you just cannot keep having people shout down or shout over everybody else. It just
see, the problem is that everybody has the ability to butt in, and this is why I like Pal Talk, because Pal Talk, unless it's your turn at the mic, you have to wait. So you can't automatically, this guy says something, that person responds. So you have 4, 5, 6 different people. And like Eric said, we had some, I'm taking, this was in my room, or the 2 rooms that I had opened up. Actually, the one at night, it reached, I think, over 60. Because I had to open a part 2 because you have that 6-hour window,
right,
in order to save. But it becomes a madhouse, especially when the Muslim is trying to run away. When you're pressing the Muslim, like that Muslim yesterday, Naeem or whatever, we were discussing the Comforter, and he kept trying to run away, and I kept trying to bring him back, and then everybody, you're right, it's like you just want to scream and say, shut the hell up,
Yeah.
But
well, then if you put them in the audience, then you make a martyr out of them. They're like, oh, woe is me, he put me in the audience.
Oh, that bad Kufa put me in the, they'll say, oh, you're afraid. Yeah, he was afraid.
Right. And that's yeah. And come on, we're adults here. Do you really have to use that type of language? I mean, seriously. Anyway, it's good fun, but plus you learn sometimes you learn the depths of their arguments. Yesterday wasn't one of them because, like you said, you just kept trying to run away, and it's the same old argument. Oh, that's Muhammad there, and then you go to what you did was go to John 17 and say that he dwells in you, so is Muhammad in you? Well, that's not what that means. Come on, really? You want to use it, but it doesn't mean what it means. Okay, whatever you say. Okay, so let's get back to this Islamic world, this little fantasy land that they live in. I want to first off by citing some scripture here. Jay starts with Matthew 7, starting in verse 24. It says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and winds blew and beat against it, and that house in which it fell with a great crash." So essentially what he's saying here is that in order for, if you're going to have your teachings be true, they have to be built on a foundation. And the foundation that Islam has is the book, the man, and the location. So if you knock out one of those foundational principles, such as we have death, deity, resurrection, that's the foundation of our plan, of our faith. If you take out one of those, our faith is useless. And as Paul says in Romans, we are the most to be pitied. Or is that Galatians? Doesn't matter. We are the most to be pitied if Christ not be raised. We are the most to be pitied. Why? It's because that's through that resurrection that we have fellowship with God. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at how all three of those pillars for Islam are false. So let's go ahead and look at the different areas. Let's start with the sources. Of course, it's going to be the Quran, the Hadith, and Sirah. We'll look at its origins prior to the 7th century, and then after or during the 7th century, and then we'll look at the Quran, and then we'll put it all together in the end. So when we look at these claims, of course, this is Jay's. He's been saying this is Muhammad is the prophet of all prophets. The Quran is his revelation, and it's eternal. And this is the final religion based on what Muhammad said and did during his life. But there's problems with this, of course. Read it up, slide. Let's go. The problems with the sources. Let's take a look at the sources. We've done this before, but being reminded of this with a visual, like I said, used to be a teacher. I know all about the visuals and why it's important to do these things. But people can understand this a lot better when something is put in front of them instead of just reading words and trying to figure this out chronologically. It's like reading the Quran there that we did at the beginning of the show with that first slide. Unless you know chronologically what it is, you could read that and say, "Oh, it's no big deal." But when you put it on a timeline, yeah, it is a big deal. It's stupid. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the standard Islamic narrative. It says that Muhammad was born in 570 AD in a town called Mecca in Saudi Arabia. He had his first revelation in 610 when he was 40 years old and married to a caravan trader by the name of Khadijah. And then they make the Mirage. Now, the Mirage is where he rides that pony to heaven. Am I correct on that? That's what the Mirage is?
He rides Barak.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say pony. It's a flying ass.
Okay. Well, it's, the Barak, where he goes into the 7th heaven and meets God and gets the prayers down to 5 a day from, what was it, 50 that he started off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same thing as Abraham did when he was praying for Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, isn't that funny how that all... Anyway. Then you have the Hijra, which is the migration from Mecca to Medina, about 150 people. So from 610 to 622, 12 years, he gets about 15, or how about 100 people, if I'm not mistaken, believe that he's a prophet. And he escapes Mecca in the middle of the night and gets to Medina, and he's in Medina and becomes a warlord. He reconquers Mecca in 630 without firing a shot, and then he dies in 632. So he dies at the age of 62. So this is Muhammad's life. Now, what happens after Muhammad's life is just as equally important to understand as what happened during his life. You have the first caliph, which is Abu Bakr, which is actually his, what would that make him? His, let's see, he married his father-in-law. That would be his father-in-law.
Yep.
Yeah, because they married Abu Bakr's 6-year-old or 9, well, consummated
6-year-old daughter.
Aisha. Yeah, Aisha. He was 54 when he did that, by the way. Let's not get into that today. Then the second caliph was for 10 years, Umar. Umar is famous for the pack of Umar. So when we think of Abu Bakr, this is where you have the Ridda Wars fighting. This is where you have those people who wanted to apostatize initially from Islam, and you had all these wars, and he holds it all together. And then he dies from a cold. He took a bath a cold night and got up, went outside and got sick, and he was dead within 3 days. Then you have Umar, who is the second caliph. Pack of Umar guy goes out and starts rapidly expanding Islam. He gets as far as Alexandria, Egypt, and he burns the library in Alexandria, Egypt, and then he's killed. And then you have Uthman, who is supposedly responsible for editing or compiling, put it this way, compiling the Quran in its written form. And that happened in 652. And then Uthman is killed. And then you have Ali, and Ali is killed also in 661. So 3 of the first 4 caliphs, the rightly guided caliphs, are murdered by the kuffar. And
well, that's
no, they're not.
You're not allowed
to.
The funny thing about that is you're not allowed to discuss Uthman's death. Even and Islamic scholars tell you not to discuss Uthman's death.
Why not? Wasn't he killed by a group of radicals?
They think he was killed by Ali. That's what Aisha said.
Aisha says that Ali had him killed. Is that
Aisha in some of the hadiths believes that. I mean, it's actually. I mean, I've studying the history of this, and I've got one guy saying you're not supposed to read this, you're not supposed to learn about this to other Muslims. Okay, yeah. And I wanted to learn more. Yeah,
it's such a hot mess. It's actually disgusting. Reading the history of the first 4. This is supposed to be what did Muhammad call them? The best of Muslims, the first generation of Muslims, the best of Muslims. And if you're killing 3 of the first 4 leaders, how can you be the best of anything, for crying out loud? This is where you get. Well,
Aisha hated Ali.
Muawiyah
so
comes
he
up
may
the 5th
or
caliph.
may not have been the killer, but she still blamed him for it.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that the burning of the libraries. This is something systematic with them. Is destroyed.
Oh yeah, the library in Alexandria, Egypt. Yeah.
That's very significant.
Why is that?
And the funny thing is social studies teachers are supposed to say they preserved things. I mean, despite Islam, things were preserved.
I mean, there was a lot of literature that we would. In our modern day, we would be a lot further along because of the information they had in their libraries at the time. Like plumbing, that kind of thing. They had that kind of information. It was all lost. And why would they burn the libraries? Why would they do that? Let me guess.
To take away that culture's history, for one. I know that.
Take away the history. And to try to cancel out maybe, say like scripture, the Bible, going after ancient artifacts like, I don't know, Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, they hadn't found those yet, but codexes of the Bible. That's my next question is, how old is the oldest literature of Islam? Of the Quran, does anybody know?
Probably older than Islam.
A complete Quran? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
They're dating it to the 8th century, 100 years after the death of Muhammad, from what I understand.
Yeah, so, and it's a codex. It's not scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a problem, right? Because ancient history we've found on scrolls. That's how they did things, but Quran shows up in a book. Did you find that odd?
Well, I know that with the burning of the library in Alexandria and Uthman, when they went to torch it, the story goes something along these lines where they were questioning Uthman. Should we burn this material? And Uthman is like, if it disagrees with the Quran, then it is incorrect and deserves to be burned. if it agrees with the Quran, then it is already preserved in the Quran, and we don't need it anyway, so it can be burned. Think of that. I mean, just that in of itself right there tells you where this guy's head was. It's just completely disjointed. They're all a bunch of psychopaths. Okay, so let's get back to the slideshow here. Okay, so let's look at the classical accounts of Islam itself. Okay, so when we look at who wrote about Muhammad and what was said, we have Ibn Ishaq supposedly compiling the biography of Muhammad, but we don't have any proof of that. And look at the date here. The date says 765. Muhammad died in 632. So you have 130 years. The first attempt, well, maybe not the first attempt, but the first compilation of something resembling a biography of Muhammad doesn't exist until at least 130 years after his death. And then Hisham comes along and he compiles what we have today known as the Sariat Rasul Allah, which is the messenger of God. And this is in 833, and he uses Ibn Ishaq. This is 200 years after the death of Muhammad, and he supposedly uses the sources from Ibn Ishaq, but we don't know exactly what Ishaq had compiled because Hisham even admits that he took things out that were embarrassing. And then we have the compilers of Ahadith, which is Al-Bukhari, of course, and then Tabari. Well, with the Hadith, you have Sahih Muslim, Tirmidhi, Al-Nusra, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah. I have a list here in just a second. And then you have the Tasfir, which is the commentary, and the history, which is the Takrif. So look at these dates. So the first biography we do not have any copies of is 130 years after the death of Muhammad. The first biography that we do have is 200 years after his death. We don't get his sayings until 240 years, what he said and what he did compiled into some type of semblance of understanding. And they also had to edit all of the ones that they thought or that knew were not accurate sayings. They were fabrications in the hadith. And then you have the Tasfir and the commentary and the Takrikh, which is your history, is not written down for almost 300 years. So it's an incredible long period of time before these ideas are put to paper. Of course, so this is going to be a problem. But this is the standard Islamic narrative. All right, so let's move on. Oops, it always happens when somebody comes into the room. And I'm going to mute you, Dominic. If you want to come up and mic, go ahead anytime you want.
I do love the acronym SIN.
What's that?
I love the acronym SIN.
Yeah. The standard Islamic narrative, SIN. Yeah, that's Jay Smith for you. Okay, so let's look at the traditions, the standard Islamic narrative. Let's date this. Okay, so Muhammad dies in 632, and his biography is not written down for 133 years, and we don't have a copy of that biography for another 201 years. So that is very problematic. And then you have a military history that is compiled 2 years after that. Then the sayings of Muhammad, which they developed the Sunnah from, that doesn't occur until 200 and almost 240 years after his death. Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud, and Al-Nasi, all of them are late. Even Nasi, what is that, 915? So that would be almost 300 years. Him and Abu Dawud, almost 300 years after this guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous the amount of time that's involved here.
But not only you've got that, it's under a different. So you have it's under the Abbasids, not the Umayyads. So you've got like different rulers at the time. So it's not even. It's like by the same people. Like it.
Well, when did the Abbasids take over? Because the Umayyads was what, 740, 745? Okay, that was the first one, and then the Abbas. So you have two different dynasties. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dominic. Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out. You have two completely different dynasties, opposing dynasties, that are in existence during the development of all of these writings. So this would be like competing political ideologies of the day. It would be communism and capitalism, and then trying to have some type of trying to make the two coexist, or at least synthesize the two. You just can't do it. Okay. Then you got Tabari, which is the commentaries on that. So you have 201 years to begin with. Oh, here he is. He lays this all out with the Abbasids. Oh, here we are. Doggone it. Why didn't I do this? All right. So you have the Abbasids and the Umayyads. From Abdul Malik was he an Umayyad? He was part of the Umayyad Caliphate, I believe. But let's just compare this to George Washington. Now, George Washington became the general of the Continental Army 1775. Well, actually, no, it was 1776 because he was during the Constitutional Convention. He was not the Constitutional Convention. What they call that convention where they wrote the Declaration of Independence. It was First Continental Congress, Second Continental Congress, Second Continental. There we go. I knew it'd come to me. 1776. All right. So the first reference of Muhammad is Abd al-Malik, and that is they put him on his name in the Dome of the Rock in 692.
There's an actual debate about that. Sneakers Corner had a whole video that went into the discussion of do the actual inscriptions actually date back to the time of Abdul Malik or not.
The Dome of the Rock, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So there's a recent video that he did on this, that when you look at the Dome of the Rock, like when you go through the actual historical account, it actually looks completely different. Back in, say, I think, like, even among the Middle Ages, like the medieval, like the 12th century or like the 14th century, like there's like a double layer on the Dome of the Rock. And he was saying that that the Dome of the Rock doesn't actually go back to the time of Abdul Malik or this form of the extremely interesting kind of.
Well, it hasn't. It's been destroyed and rebuilt 11 times. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
There's quite a few times where I know, but the writings okay, number one, the Dome of the Rock is supposed to be it's not a mosque, it's a shrine to commemorate Muhammad's night journey, what they call it, the Mirage, in 621. That's what it's meant to do. This is because they're saying that this is where Muhammad came when he rode his Barak up into heaven. It's not true, but let's pretend it was supposed to be a shrine to that. But it doesn't mention anything on the Dome of the Rock. Today it might, but at the time, the inner and out. My understanding is the inner and outer ambulatories are the only things that exist today that existed at that time. And in there, it doesn't say anything about his night journey. All it's talking about is it's a testimony. It's the verse in the Quran that says, "Say not three," which is anti-Christ, because it's saying don't believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And that, for me, when I look at this, that's exactly what it is. It's a shrine to the anti-Christ sitting right on top of where the Jewish temple used to sit. It's sick, is what it is.
Because with the history of the Dome, I think there's an archaeology thing that they've actually found stuff dating back to the first temple. So in the actual, I can't believe, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, there's some beams that actually date back to the first temple that they found, because there was the whole temple sifting project that they found, like the Hezekiah seal, the Isaiah seal. Mm-hmm. And stuff from that. So let's just say what that is. The sifting project is. This is the Waft, which is an Islamic group, and they're excavating underneath the Temple Mount, and they're hauling all kinds of dirt and garbage debris out, and they're just dumping it. Am I correct on this? Just dumping it outside of town. And this dirt that they're dumping and rocks that they're dumping is full of Jewish artifacts
from the first temple period. And they call it, what would you call it again? The
temple sifting project. So Dr. Scott's drifting, I think it's finished now, but so what it was something process called wet sifting. So when you're doing archaeology, you normally there's like a sieve, and you can normally sieve some stuff through, and there's like the smaller artifact, so you can see some of the artifacts. But when you use wet sifting, there's stuff you don't tend to pick up. So it's a Christian. He kind of invented that they've like some stuff that they actually brought up in the wet sifting. It was like a pomegranate. I think there was like a pomegranate from actual because the priests, they would wear around their robes, they were like a pomegranate and a bell, and they found one of these pomegranates down there. So like stuff to do with the temple. It's just amazing what they've actually found. There's a whole lecture I listened on to the fact of the archaeology of that area, because before the Muslims got there was some archaeology done on the actual Temple Mount area. So yeah, there's still some.
Well, it's just amazing how willing they are to destroy all that.
Yeah,
I mean, when you start doing, I mean, if they. Okay, we're going to get into Mecca today, and we're going to talk about how they would absolutely refuse. They can't do it now to Mecca today because of. We'll talk about it. All right. Okay, so I'm sorry. We get sidetracked. It's okay. We get sidetracked here all the time. All right, let's get back to the slideshow. Okay, so what we're doing is we're looking at George Washington, 1776. The first reference to George Washington would be during the presidency of Martin Van Buren, folks. Martin Van Buren was the eighth. See, Jackson 7. Martin Van Buren was the 8th president of the United States. This would be right after the Trail of Tears. So you're talking a good, what is that? 39 plus 25 is 59, 60 plus years of history from where we would get the first mention of George Washington and anywhere. And then we would not get his biography until 1977. That would be the year after our bicentennial. Now, some of you are old enough to remember the bicentennial, where 1976, where they came out with the quarter and they came out with all these celebrations, 200 years of our independence from England. We're coming up fast. We're actually coming up 4 years from now will be the, what's that called where it's 250 years? What is like the something centennial, the quad something centennial. UA says he remembers. Yeah, he remembers the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, well, you will be ancient. Yeah, Martin Van Buren. There we go. Thank you. You guys are fact checking me all over the place. Woo! I love it. Okay, so the first story that we would get from George Washington would be 1977, folks. That is incredible. That's 200 years after that. And we wouldn't know what he said until we get to, and if we were going to make this qualify as hadith, until 6 years ago, which was the speeches. And the history of our country wouldn't be written down for another 45 years from now. So it's incredible when we put it on a timeline and make it contemporaneous to today, and compare that to George Washington, first reference, 60 plus years, the story not until after the bicentennial, 200 years plus, not knowing what he said until 5 years ago. And then we get clear out here. We're not even be able to know the history of our country until 2067. It's just incredible. Then you also have the distance and the direction from where these writings come from. This would be, well, we'll look at here, but we'll just be safe to say that we wouldn't get any writings about our country or I got to sneeze. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay, we wouldn't know. Excuse me. The writings about our country wouldn't come. They would come from Peru, for crying out loud. Imagine, in 200 years plus later, that'd be about the equivalent. All right, so let's look at this. When you look at what Muhammad said, all of these events supposedly happened in Mecca and Medina. but the writers of the traditions came from Baghdad, which is, let's see, so 800 or 1,000 kilometers is 610 miles. And so you're talking about 1,000 miles is where these writings would come from. So that's about 1,000 miles from the southern border of the United States to Peru would probably be pretty accurate. I don't know. I'd have to measure it. And then when we look at where Ibn Hisham is from, he grows up in Cairo, Egypt, but writes from Baghdad, if I'm not mistaken. And then, Basra. And then Bukhari is from Bukharistan. It's clear. Look how far away Bukhari is. That's like, that would be like 2,400 miles, for Pete's sake.
Because Bukhari is like isn't he the one that people tend to go to? Like Bukhari, he's the
most trusted compiler of hadith, right?
There's also another thing. Isn't the claim that he, did 600,000 hadith?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. How long would it take somebody to actually write that out?
No, he received. How's it go? He received over 600,000 hadith, and what he did was he edited out those hadith based on a rubric which we do not have access to today. He established what would be trusted and what could not be trusted, and he threw out the ones that could not be trusted.
So it's the same process as the actual Quran, then.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, how long do you think it would have taken him to do that many?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're talking an incredible amount of hadith. You're talking about 600,000, really? I mean, and each hadith, I don't know how long the hadith are. A hadith can be as short as 4 or 5 sentences and as long as the page in a book, know. So,
if he did 35 a day, that would be 47 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
But how on earth can you not prove that he plagiarized any of it? I mean, with the sources that he got from Baghdad, I mean, how on earth can you prove that he didn't get? So with the actual hadiths, I mean, there's no. So we've analyzed those stuff with the Quran, like it can come from different sources, but there's no way that we can go back to the thing that actually prove the fact that some of the hadiths weren't plagiarized.
Well, you're right. Well, some of the hadith. They're duplicated. You have the same hadith in different variants. If I'm willing to be wrong on this. I'm always willing to be wrong because I'm not an expert in this. But I do know that there are hadiths that are repetitive, and they say basically the same thing. But my understanding is that they use different. There's a different chain of narration. The chains of who is saying basically the same thing. So this is actually the same thing. You're basically guessing. Can I trust this guy? Can this guy be trusted? They call it, and I've heard people say, "Oh, it's the science of hadith." Okay, go ahead and tell me what the science of hadith is. Well, they can't prove that it makes them the hadith themselves correct because let's face it, it's all hearsay. If we were to go into a court of law today and say, okay, judge, we know that this event happened because so-and-so said, so-and-so said, that so-and-so said, that so-and-so said, that so-and-so said, that so-and-so said, and go for 200 years, and then we have this right here. You have to believe this beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, after the first so-and-so said something, now you're at something called hearsay, and you can't use it in a court of law. You can't use historians. Try not to do this. Sometimes you have to piece things together in order to do history, but this is absolutely ridiculous. And to say that we can trust the standard Islamic narrative by using the hadith is stupid. Okay. Let's get back to the slideshow here. I'm sorry, guys. I get going on this. We got to get to Mecca. We got to hurry up and get to Mecca. We're spending too much time on this stuff. All right. So we're looking at, let's see here. Al-Bukhari is in Bukharistan, 4,200 miles away. What else we got? And Tabari is from Tabaristan. What is that? That's how far is that? Holy crap! That's 2,800 kilometers away.
So no, because Ibn Hisham is the first. He isn't it? Because what I was trying to do was link in the dates into the fact of their different locations. So Ibn Hisham is the closest, and he's in Basra.
Yeah, and that's over in Iraq. That's southeastern Iraq.
So that's Iraq, and then it's Ibn
Hisham.
Ibn Hisham. So there's.
Oh no, Hisham is from Basra. Ibn Ishaq is from Cairo. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to work out the dates regarding the dates of the fact of Bukhari is like massively a long way away. But the thing is, if you kind of say it's because the Umayyads, their location was in, was it Syria?
Baghdad.
Yeah, Baghdad. So that would be their location there, and the Abbasids kind of moved. They had, was it Damascus? So
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. That sounds about right.
So so that would make sense. Like the Baghdad and the things. I mean, where did they get these stories from? Because there's no way that they would have linked in the facts. So you've got the map, and I'm just thinking, is it linked to the Umayyads or linked to the Abbasids? So where did they actually get their stories from? Did they just come up with them?
Well, this is you're making my point, Dominic. This is the point. Where do these stories come from? Were these stories contrived in order to bring some type of political credibility to them as rulers? Were they? And a lot of people believe that some of these hadiths were created in order to, create like a polemic against some other group of people that were vying for power. So you got, well, Muhammad said that the Umayyads are bad, so say it the ones that are bad. It's just I know the Umayyads didn't exist at that time, but I'm just saying this is exactly what they would do. And this is where we get a lot of the hadith. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. You'd have to show me some evidence.
But do you think like Bukhari, like when he was writing his hadiths, got some fictional stories from around his area?
Of course.
Because I mean, they're all writing about Muhammad from different locations, and they probably all got different stories from different locations. So there's no kind of they may have been talking because like years wise, how like distance wise and kind of years wise, would there be any kind of talking with one another
amongst? I don't understand. You're gonna have to. What do you mean by that?
So when you've got the dates, so you've got the dates. So what I'm trying to work out is the actual how many of the hadith writers are contemporary with one another.
As far as the compilers are concerned,
so
are they contemporaneous with one another? Some of them are. Bukhari and Muslim are pretty close, and then when you get to Ibn Majid and Al-Nasri, they're right at 899 and 900. I think it was what the numbers would be. I may be wrong on the names there, but I know the first two and the last two of the six are pretty close. So when we look at, hold on, let me go back here. Doggone it. And look at the notice here. It says that all of these northern areas where the Abbasids originated from. So that's your point. Yeah. So that's the point that you're making there. So it makes all the sense in the world.
But the thing is, even though where they're from, the Abbasid stories are from, it means that the stories could have come locally from, say, Cairo. Or from, say, Baghdad, because they're from the Abbasid kingdom, it doesn't mean that they're talking with one another. So al-Bukhari may not be talking with.
Well, I think that this is what this slide right here deals with.
Yeah.
It deals with the supposedly coming from Mecca and Medina, but all of the traditions are way up north, and they deal mainly with the Abbasids from that time period. And when you look at the traditions when they were written, as a matter of fact, when we look at the earliest extant manuscripts of any of these hadith, the earliest one I think is like 400 years after the death of Muhammad. You know, they may have been compiled earlier, and you may have some type of historical evidence demonstrating that. But the fact is that we do not have any of the extant manuscripts of these hadith for 400 years.
But there's no way that you can actually know that he's talking about the same Muhammad of Mecca and Medina.
Well, this is where people are starting to, you know, the book of the man in the place, the book of the man in the place. Okay, so when you look at the man, how can you historically demonstrate that Muhammad existed? And there are people out there that are starting to make. I mean, if you watched, who did a debate last winter? Was it Robert Spencer and David Wood did this debate over did Muhammad exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So and so you're starting to have if you look at this, if you're the principal founding person of your faith system, their mere existence is questionable based on evidence, historical evidence outside of your religious sources, you have a problem. You seriously have a problem. For example, let's take the personage of Jesus Christ as an example. There are whack jobs out there that do, in fact, deny that Jesus ever existed. Of course, you're always going to have people that are going to do that. But you're not going to find anybody that does any type of serious scholarship that say that Jesus never existed. They'll deny that he, some of his claims that he claimed to be the Son of God. They'll deny that that he was resurrected, of course. But they even Bart Ehrman, may Allah be pleased with that guy, admits that the most attested to event of the life of Jesus Christ is his death on a cross, which is refuted, it contradicts what's written clearly in 4:157 of the Quran. This is that he was not crucified.
He wrote a book like saying about the historical Jesus, Bart Ehrman, even though he's kind of anti-Christian. There's a book that he wrote that's actually kind of that he believes in a historical Jesus. You can't.
Well, you can't deny that. And David Wood did an interview with him last week, the week before last, where he basically expressed his complete annoyance with people who say that Jesus did not exist. I mean, he said, he goes, if you want to be a serious human being, you have to at least admit, using the historical methodology and how we know historical facts, that Jesus did exist. Because if you say that he didn't exist, then you're just an idiot, and you're letting your biases cloud whatever type of judgments you have over how this historical methodology is done and how we evaluate manuscripts and things of that nature. So even Bart Ehrman, let's just put it that way, even Bart Ehrman admits that. So that Jesus existed, and the thing that we know about him most is that he was crucified. Okay, so when we compare that to Muhammad in Islam, there is no comparison because everything written about Muhammad comes from Islamic sources. What
I was just thinking of is how on earth can you know that they're talking about the same Muhammad in Mecca and Medina, the actual hadiths? Because there's no so when they're talking about say Muhammad, how on earth can you know that they're talking about the same Muhammad, or even among themselves, like the different hadiths? How on earth do you know that they're all talking about the same Muhammad?
They don't. Because it means the praised one, so it's a title. It's really not a name. It's a title that comes out of that area. I get, and that was one of Robert Spencer's arguments. And I really don't want to get into that. I want to get to Mecca. But I appreciate the going down these rabbit holes, Dominic. I really do. But I want to hurry up and get to Mecca. But you're absolutely right. If you can't even demonstrate the existence of Muhammad, how in the heck can you say that? Well, we know the Quran is from God.
Yeah. And
then when you look at the Quran, you have Qurans that are carbon dated, 2 centuries prior to Muhammad.
But how can you even link the actual hadiths to the actual Quran?
Well, you can't. Using the historical method. Using the historical method, you cannot.
But you also can't link you also can't link any other of the actual hadiths together. Or you can link them. You can say that they're under the Abbasid reign, so they may have talked together.
I don't know. That's something that we would have to explore. I'm not 100% sure. But here, what I'm trying to just establish is the hypocrisy that we get when this charge is made. Well, we don't know who wrote the Gospels, and their Gospels were written so much later that we cannot trust them. And they'll give you these wazoo dates, and I've demonstrated this repeatedly on this show, that all of the Gospels were written prior to the destruction of the Jewish temple in 70 A.D. And of course, we can demonstrate. Of course, all the Pauline epistles have to be written there because Paul was martyred in 65 A.D. in Rome. So we know all of his epistles had to be. So the overwhelming majority of the New Testament had to be compiled before the destruction of the Jewish temple. The only one that you could make an argument for, possibly, depending on how you want to use your interpretation, would be, of course, the book of Revelation. But that's not what the show is about. Let's get going on this. Okay, so when we look at all the traditions that we're talking, that these things are 9th and 10th centuries, and they are just way too late. When you look at this, I mean, Muhammad's clear back here. He dies clear back here, and all of these histories are written they're not compiled or written down for 200 years, for crying out loud. And yet we're supposed to believe them. So when we look at these materials, they're written down much later than the gospel accounts or the biblical accounts, and they're written in areas that are hundreds and thousands of miles away from the place where they portend to opine about. So let's look at this. Let's compare these. So when we look at both faiths, Christianity, the earliest biographies were written, and Jay uses some very forgiving dates here. I'll just say this: if it was me, I would have changed these dates, but I didn't. This is I don't want to change Jay Smith's presentation here too much to fit my own, but I disagree with these dates, and he's just using it just so he doesn't have to argue about earlier dating of the Gospels. So when we look at when these things were written, Christianity 15 to 60 years, Islam 200 to 300. So which one would be more authoritative just based on that alone? So if we were to use this as a comparison, we would not get the gospel record. We wouldn't get any of the writings about Jesus's life until the 3rd century. This would be around the Council of Nicaea time, or right before the Council of Nicaea, for crying out loud. Council of Nicaea is what, 4th century, 325? So we're talking hundreds of years difference here, which is, if you look at how our history is done, that can have a huge impact. So when we look at our own traditions, Jesus dies 333. The book of Acts, which would be the history, is written down anywhere from 52 to 62. I would put the book of Acts probably around 60, 63 maybe, because it ends with Paul being in prison in Rome. So it has to be before he was martyred. So it could be as early as 52. And then you look at his Paul's his epistles. They're dated, and they're 15 to 34 years after the fact. And then he puts the biography, which would be the Gospels, at 70 AD. And I like I said, I disagree with these adamantly, especially John. We went through that last.
You've got the early church fathers that quote from some of the.
Oh yeah, you have Ignatius. Yeah, you have Ignatius. Well, actually, you have Clement of Rome, which was born, I think, was 60 AD, and Ignatius. I think Ignatius dies like at 109 AD or something like that. So you have you're exactly right. You have the early church fathers all writing about these things before that.
Paul as well. I think is it Paul in his apostle actually quotes from some of the Gospels. There is a study that I can't remember where it was. I can't remember which scholar. But I think Paul actually quotes from some of the Gospels as well, or uses some of the writings from that time, so they can date it earlier.
Oh, sure. And that we did this. I think it was last week we did this. We went through the dating of the New Testament.
Yeah.
And we're putting them much earlier than 70 AD. But and here's the thing with when you argue with these guys, we were on a clubhouse room. Here we go. We were in a clubhouse room last week or whatever, and one of the guys the Muslim that was putting that, look, I can prove to you that these gospels are written much later than what you guys are saying. Let me pull out my NIV study Bible. So hold on, just a second. Hold on. Let me get the NIV study Bible. Hold on. Okay, just so you guys know that I ain't kidding here, I actually have an NIV study Bible. So let's open the NIV study Bible to see what it says about the dating of the New Testament, of the Gospels. Let's see here. The New Testament, and here's what he was reading from. Let me see here, because here we are. The time between the Testaments, history, Alexander. Okay, come on, literature. Because he says he read right from here, and it says that they were written down between 70 AD and 90 AD. But then he forgot to read on where it says, and other people think that they were written from 50 AD to 60 AD. He leaves out the fact that they were written at different, that there are people who believe that they were written later. Dating the Synoptic Gospels. Okay, assumption A and then assumption B. Assumption B, let's see, assumption A, Mark written in early 50s, and then assumption B, Mark written, so they leave out the Paul Harvey, the rest of the story, the stuff that goes along with it. Okay, so we got to get going. Let's get back on this, please. All right, so when we look at the New Testament, this is written down within 60 years of the death of Christ, and you compare that to the Islam. You're talking 3 centuries after the death of Muhammad. We get this, and when we look at the dating of it, people are saying now Islam didn't even exist in the 7th century, but it was an evolution, as you were saying, Dominic, that it evolved over a 200 to 300 year period. And then when we look at the Quran itself, the Quran also is evolved over a period of 50 to 100 years. Muhammad probably did not exist at all, is what they're saying now, but was created or an embellishment from Abd al-Malik. And so when we look at this in conclusion, the history of Islam is a later fabrication, and that is this is some people who are doing contemporary scholarship on Islam itself. So when we look at some of the things that what has caused this concern is that they were written down such a long period after the events were supposed to happen. And when you look at all these different locations where Muslims, that they did control these locations, by 732 they controlled all the way up into Spain, even France, and all of the Persian Empire had collapsed, and they were clear over in the Hindustan, the Hindu Kush, for Pete's sake. And then we look at the 9th century biographers. Where are they getting these stories from? Are they getting from the Umayyads? Are they getting from the Abbasids? Why are these stories coming out so late? And so if we were going to look at these, why don't we go back to the 7th century and see what we find? And when we do this and stay out of the 9th and 10th century, what we find is basically a black hole. So, oops, sorry. Was that me or somebody else? So when we look at Islam's expansion by 691, as I mentioned before, it bursts out of the Arabian Peninsula, goes as this is, let's see, this color here would be Umar, or not Umar, I'm sorry. Yeah, that would be Umar, not Abu Bakr. This would be the brown would be the growth under Muhammad, and this would be 632. That's Abu Bakr. Yeah, that's maybe true. Okay, it'd be Abu Bakr and Umar, and then under Uthman, as you can see, under Uthman, it gets even a little bit further eastward, and then under Ali, it moves a little bit further, and then during the Umayyads, it gets clear up here into Andalusia, which is Spain, stopped up here in Tours, France, and it gets this far east. Look how far east it goes. It goes clear out here into India and what they did to the people in India is just it's absolutely disgusting how they treated the people in India. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're not going to be looking at 9th and 10th century sources because and here's a conversation that you engage Muslims in. When are you telling me these things were written down? What is your evidence for that? And the fact is that they don't have any evidence for any of this. All of it was written down much later than what they claim it was. We say, well, this occurred at the time of the prophet. Okay, prove it. Using the historical method, go ahead and prove it. Go ahead and pull in anything outside of Islamic sources trying to tell us about the history of Islam and its origins. Go ahead and try to tell us what pre-Islamic history was like in Mecca. We would like to see something, anything, any mention of Mecca. And here's where we're going with this. Let me get going. Okay, so Islam's origins, pre-7th century. When did this begin? Okay, let's go back to the history prior to the 7th century and look at Arabia, including Mecca. This is where you have the sins, the importance of Mecca. It's all through the standard Islamic narrative, developed when? 9th and 10th century. So Mecca is supposed to be one of the best known and the oldest city. It was supposed to be created by Adam, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right on that? Really believe that Adam?
Yep.
Adam created. Okay.
300 prophets are supposed to be buried there. 300
Really?
prophets. Yeah.
I wonder how the prophets feel about that today with all that cement right above them.
Yeah.
They built a 5-star hotel on everybody.
Maybe they got the wrong word. Maybe they're talking about profit.
Oh yeah, there are 300 people profiting from this. Yeah,
they were talking about profit rather than profits.
Oh yeah, well, if I would just look at the slideshow. Okay, Adam and Eve were thrown down from there. Abraham supposedly built the Kaaba. Steve's here. Look at there. Steve's not getting arrested today. Good to see you, Steve. Thanks for coming, brother. Okay, so and then Mecca is supposed to be the center of a trade route. And this was popularized by a guy by the name of Montgomery Watts. So it should be one of the most demonstrable. Its existence has to be one of the most things that is easiest to demonstrate in all of history. But it's not. That's the problem. If it is the center of Islam, and Islam is supposed to be the religion of God, from God to the last testament to mankind, you think God would have left some type of evidence for it. But the problem is that he didn't. Look at this. It's the first sanctuary. It's the mother of all settlements. Adam and Eve were there. Abraham was there. Muhammad was born there. And this is supposed to be the focus of their worship. The Qibla is supposed to have been changed to there from Jerusalem, 624. But you only have Mecca mentioned in the Quran. Who knows? Yep, one time. It's mentioned. The most important city on the entire planet is only mentioned in the Quran one time.
Hey, can I just say something?
Steve, I just want to say, hand up.
Yeah.
Steve, go ahead.
That I had Sam Shimon on last night, and we talked exactly about this. We let them off the hook too easy on this. That does not say Mecca. It says Becca. And if it's that important, and we don't let them off the hook. Mecca is not Becca. We don't know what Becca is, but it's not Mecca.
Well, it means the Valley of Weeping, correct? That's what Becca is supposed to mean.
Exactly, bouquet. And even in Arabic, it's bouquet, which means weeping and stuff. But
isn't it described?
can't Allah, in the most detailed, most clear book that He has revealed to humanity, the word in Arabic is mubin, which means clear. He couldn't get the name of the most important city in the universe right.
The thing is, there's more chance of finding Camelot than you've got the actual Camelot is probably got way more historical evidence than
That's good. I'm gonna have to remember that. That's a good one. Yeah, we'll get a better chance of finding Camelot than we do in Meccan history. Yeah. Okay, so here's what our brother Usama Dakduk wrote, and he said, "Who holds back their hands from you and your hands from them in the belly of Mecca, after He had given you triumph, and Allah was a seer of what you do." And he doesn't leave a footnote with that, so I'm assuming. I don't know. Adam Seeker, I think Adam or John was on here one day.
Adam's actually on here. He's on the chat.
What?
Adam's on the chat.
Yeah, they were on one of. It might have been Adam. I can't remember which one it was, but they said that in order to change the M to a B, you have to put like this circle in the bottom right corner of the letter, and it changes it from a B to an M. There you go. From a B, not a vowel, from a B, Becca. And if you do that, is that right, Steve? Steve's thinking about this.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. You see the letter M in Arabic is like a little circle and then a line when it's connected to another word and to another letter. And in Mecca's case, it's connected to the K, but for Becca, you have to remove the little circle and then put a dot underneath it to make it Becca. And
so if you wanted to change it from Becca to Mecca, you could draw a circle over the top of that dot and make it Mecca.
No. The dot. No. The dot is underneath the letter. The circle is at the very beginning.
Okay, is the dot a diacritical mark of any sort or no?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay, so that was later development anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, that's basically kind of that's a thing. Basically, if it's a diacritical mark, it's not in the original text. So,
yeah. Well, the bottom line is that it's mentioned in the Quran one time, and even then, it's kind of a conspicuous mention of the most important place on the planet. You would think that God would have thought this one through a little bit more. But
wasn't Jerusalem mentioned way more
in the Quran?
Not in the Quran.
Yes.
The Quran's not mentioned in Jerusalem's not mentioned in the Quran one time.
Wow, really?
Yeah, you know that. Yeah, I'm trying to let me see how many times Jerusalem. I don't know if we have Jerusalem mentioned. Jerusalem mentioned in the Bible. Can somebody Google that for me? Jerusalem. How many times Jerusalem is mentioned in the Bible? It's like 700 times or something like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
815 times.
815. Oh yeah.
Well, that's if I do like a Greek and Hebrew search, I may actually find more. But so yeah.
Well, it's mentioned exponentially more times in the Bible than Mecca is in the Quran, which is supposed to be the holiest city. So when we're looking for the historicity of a location, remember, book, man, location. We're doing the location today. When you're looking for because we just pretty much wiped out the man himself. Because how do we know about Muhammad? Do we know about Muhammad from the Quran? No. Do we know about Muhammad from the Hadith? Yes. And so when we look at the Hadith are not compiled for another 240 years. The Sirah is not published for another 230 years after his death. So we're looking 2 centuries removed from up into the 9th century. And that's the rule we're using here. We're not looking at anything 9th century or later. We want to look at something within 200 years of Muhammad to demonstrate its existence. And if you're saying you're going to say, well, Mecca existed, we know Mecca existed. Well, we know it existed because it's mentioned in the Quran. And we know the Quran was created in the 7th century.
What are the actual Mecca references in the actual Hadiths? Because that would be an interesting sort of to go through, because if the Mecca references are in the Hadith, how do you know that they're actually talking about the same Mecca?
Well, you don't. See, that's the thing. You don't. Even in the Hadith, John Isaac was here. Let me see if I can find that.
You look at the description of the place, and it doesn't match anywhere close to Mecca. It matches Petra better than it does Mecca.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Hey,
There was.
Bro, could I share a screen?
Are you talking to me, Steve? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I just want to just 1 second here.
You're not going to get off topic, are you?
No, actually, I'm just going to continue. You know
It's
what?
okay. We've been off topic like 100 times today, but that's okay. All right.
I need to. I'm not sure how to do
Okay,
this.
XYZ. Here's XYZ. XYZ. Fact check you, Dominic. All right. let me get it up here. Why isn't this coming up? There we go. Jerusalem occurs 660 times in the Old Testament, 146 times in the New Testament. So that would be a total of 806 times, if my math is correct.
Oh, so that was kind of right.
Oh, you were right. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, I was right.
Okay.
The thing is, I was wanting to back it up with like Hebrew and Greek sources, but I could actually find do it that way.
Okay, Steve, where's your string?
You know what? I don't know how to share it, bro, because I just wrote something on a paper, and then did a screenshot. I don't know how to share it.
Press share.
I was going to show you the Mecca and Becca. I was going to show it to you how the difference.
Okay. Just hit share. It's on the bottom of your screen where it says share.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then it's going to come up with the screen up on top, and you click on that.
Share screen. Okay.
Yeah, and then it should come up on my end, and then I'll pull it up on my screen.
Oh, okay. I think on window or something, or
Yes.
on window. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
You can't share pictures.
Oh, I can't share
No, you can. Okay, now where's the picture that you had, Steve? Bring that picture up.
I could do this.
It should be at the bottom.
Okay. Okay, let me see if I could open this here. Okay. Oh shoot.
Should open.
You know what?
How many tabs
Can
you
you
got
see-
open? What kind of sick person has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? You got like 20 tabs open there at the top.
Steve, if you took a picture, just double click on it so that it opens up like the paint program or the picture viewer.
Can you open it up in your browser?
And then just share
just
that.
open up the picture. Open up the picture on your screen right now. However
Hey,
you do that.
Can you see this on the? Can you see these two words? Are they showing?
No, I need to see your screen. Whatever's on your screen.
Okay.
Whatever's on your screen. Where's the picture?
Infinite loop. It's him.
Oh, okay. Here's one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys didn't see the picture then? Okay.
No, we saw about 20 different screens.
Okay, where is the picture? Where's the picture at?
It's on my desktop.
Okay, double click on it.
See it?
Open it up. Open it up. We'll be able to see it. All you got to do is open it up, and we'll be able to see it because that's what we're looking at.
I only got 10 million things on my.
I know. That's what I was saying. Holy cow! You got way too many. If I get more than like 6 or 7 windows open, I lose my mind.
Can you see this?
Something in the top left. No, not there.
You have to select it when you go to share. You go to.
No, I can see his screen. He just needs to open up the picture is all.
Yeah, if you haven't opened the picture, then we can't see it.
If you view the picture, Steve, we'll be able to view the picture.
Okay, I'm looking at. Okay,
Put it right. Put it right in front of you.
Here we go. Well, no, now we just lost your screen.
Okay, let me see if I could do this. Okay, sorry. I hope this is worth all this trouble, man. But okay.
It's all right. It is all right.
Okay. Okay, share. Okay, so you guys see that. Now let me see if I could.
No.
That's not showing. Okay, but I'm wondering if I get rid of all these pages.
No, what you need
don't
to
do that
do
'cause
is
you'll click out. You'll click out. All you have to do is just open up the picture. Just open up the picture. Because when you open up the picture, we'll see your screen.
Yeah,
But the thing is that the picture, I
minimize your
to open it. So yeah,
minimize
there's
your
enough
web
trouble,
browser.
guys. Forget about
send the picture to Eric, and he can see it then. That would
Oh,
send
yeah.
it through
Okay.
Messenger or through Skype.
Are you on Skype or Facebook Messenger? I know we're on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, let me go ahead and send it to you. then.
Okay, so let me remove you from there. I don't want you to give away all your contacts on your Facebook Messenger. All right, let's we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Let me know when you sent it. Did you see it? Did you send it?
No, not yet.
Okay, let's jump back over, add to the stream, to the slideshow. Okay, so when we look at the only reference, what happened here? There we go. Okay, the only reference to, of course, Mecca is mentioned one time in the Quran. And then when we look at the description of Mecca in the Quran itself, in that literature, the description in the Quran and in the Hadith, in the Sirah, it becomes very problematic. And this is why. It's in a valley and has a parallel valley. It does not have that. It has a stream. There is no stream going through Mecca. It has, it's outside the ruins, meaning it has walls. It has a pillar of salt. It has fields. It has trees. It has grass, fruit, tillable soil, clay and loam. It has olive trees. You have mountains overlooking the Kaaba, not hills,
Eric,
mountains. Yes.
Eric, what's interesting about this is that if you bring up that screen again, so you've got al-Bukhari who's in Baghdad. You've got
there you go. Good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got al-Bukhari who's in Baghdad. You've got Ibn Hisham. Was it Cairo? I can't remember. Was it Cairo or so he's in a completely different location.
Oh, Hisham is from Basra. Ishaq is from Cairo.
Where's Tirmidhi?
Tirmidhi, I'm not sure. Tirmidhi is much like. I mean, that's 1535. I mean, oh wait, no, that's the reference. I don't know where Tirmidhi. To me, is Tirmidhi one of the 6 components? If that's the case, it did not give its location, but it gave its date, which was.
So you said Ibn Hisham was from
880.
he was in Cairo. That's 1,600 kilometers, and you said Bukhari. He's 4,000 kilometers, and Al-Tabari is 2,800 kilometers, and it sounds like that these people who, it's bad enough that the Sirahs talk about this, but these Hadith compilers sound like they're describing places they live rather than what they don't know.
But how on earth can you know that they're all describing the same place?
That's the point.
So if you're looking at the sources, so say if you just look at al-Bukhari, or was it the thing you know that it's just olive trees? I mean, olive trees are only grow in a Mediterranean climate. So if you just look at the Quranic sources and then look at the actual Hadith sources, you've got different descriptions on the different dates regarding the actual time. So if you looked at them regarding time wise, you've got different. So you've got you've got, I can't remember what the term is. So you've got more and more stories added about Mecca the further time you go down in the actual timeline.
Well, you have references to things that simply do not belong. You have references. Who's playing the piano? Sounds like somebody's playing the piano. You have references describing. Hold on, this is Steve's back. Let me see. Did he send me something? Oh, here we are. All right, here we go. Steve, mute yourself. I'm getting feedback, brother. Okay. How do I get this here?
So do you think there's more embellishment when you've got later sources? So when you've got later stories about Mecca, that you've actually got more and more embellishment as you get further away from the actual source?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Here's Steve's reference. Okay, so here Steve's talking about this is going to be. Is this a B?
Yeah, that's the B. It's Becca.
Okay. and then this would be the M.
Right, Mecca.
Okay, so all of this are the same same stylistic, and you could easily convert that from a B to an M if you had, what would be the word? Nefarious motivations of some sort, should we say? If you had some type of axe to grind, if you wanted to change the standard Islamic narrative and create your own, could that be?
Then the question becomes, is there a physical place that's recorded as Becca?
Well, they say that Petra is supposed to be the Valley of Weeping. We went through this in a clubhouse room of all places. I spend too much time over there. I need to get a life. We went through this with a guy that was contending that Psalm 84, one of the Psalms, was referencing Mecca as the place where they were migrating from or migrating to. And remember when the Psalms were written? I mean, this is 1000 BC. This is David writing, right? And they're talking about it does not say Becca, and it did not say Mecca. It said the Valley of the Weeping. I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that's what it says.
It's the Valley of Becca. It says they go through the Valley of Becca to go to pilgrimage in Zion. And so
right.
The word pilgrimage is what got them right there. So
isn't that's a reference to the Psalms, because there's a reference in Psalms to the Valley of Becca.
Yeah,
this is what he's talking about. Yeah, this is what we were discussing. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, Psalm 84. That sounds about right. Yeah, so you have this. Yeah. Anyway, that was a big. I mean, this guy sat there, and regardless, and then you said in that same passage it says you have pools of water. So I asked him, I'm like, how many pools of water do we have in Mecca? You have an annual average rainfall of 4 inches. You don't have pools of water. Well, that doesn't matter. It says pilgrimage in the valley. There's just no discussing, no rationalizing with this, with people. But hey, we stay after it for the sake of the truth. All right, let's jump back over here.
Would these be people who agree with climate change?
What's that? Say that again.
Would these be people who agree with the concept of climate change?
Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, at that time they had water there. At that time they had olive trees there. I mean, look at all that. At that time, because we've had climate change, and climate change has caused all the olive trees to die off, and the trees and the tillable soil, and
it's another it's another Quranic miracle.
But Alexander the Great, when he went to that region, had to cut. Even the Romans, when they went to that region, they had to leave because they didn't survive that region. So that kind of completely debunks that theory that that there was trees and things during the Roman.
Okay, I mean, think of this. If you have to raise an army, can an army exist in Mecca?
Yeah.
Today, maybe, because they pump the water in. I mean, but at that time, can you feed the army? Can you water the army? But more importantly, the animals that are there's no grass. What are they going to eat? Sagebrush? Rocks? Lick the sand off the stones? This whole thing makes zero sense. 0 cents. All right.
Don't you know that stones are very nutritious according to Islam? It's like camel urine and fly water. Yeah.
No, let's not get on. Okay, stay. We're Rad. If you keep that up, we're never going to get our sponsor back. Please. All right, let's get back to this. All right. Okay, so when we get let's I want to go back to okay. So number one, Mecca is not in a valley. It has never had olive trees. If there were olive trees there, I want you to dig down in the soil in Mecca, around Mecca, through Mecca, somewhere near Mecca, and find me some olive pits. That would demonstrate that you had olive trees. The olives fell off the trees, and the pits were there. And then you might have an argument. But the fact of the matter is if these things did exist in the soil, Somebody at some point of time would have brought this up, would have shown us. But they don't.
Digging is not
They
allowed
haven't.
in Mecca. Digging is not allowed in Mecca.
Okay. All right. So maps. Let's go to the maps. Do the maps show that Mecca existed? Well, if you go to Ptolemy, which was the 2nd century guy, and this is who they cite. Well, Ptolemy says that Makroba is there in Mecca. But on Ptolemy's maps, do we see the city of Mecca? The city of Mecca would be right in here, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Right there. Okay, there's Mecca. Is it there? No. Okay, and then now this first map we had was from this guy here, Hoyle is the guy's name, Hoyle, whatever. And then now you have
Ptolemy.
Homey, yeah, and then you got Fries. Okay, so this is supposed to be a picture of Arabia. Do we see Mecca? No Mecca.
So that's from the 1500s. So it's like
Well, what these people are referencing, which is important, Dominic, is they're referencing Ptolemy's maps. And they're doing it from the 1500s. When was this first guy? Yeah, 1482, when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Oh, wait, that was 92. Sorry. Okay. All right. So this guy's no Mecca's there. Munster, not to be confused with Eddie or Herman. He says Mecca is not there either. No Mecca. How about this one? 7th century map of Arabia. This is no Mecca. How about another 7th century map of Mecca? Nothing there. There's no Mecca there. And then when we look through the trade route theory, where Mecca was supposed to be a place where trade went through. Number one, how are you going to get trade up on a plateau? Why would you do that? And most importantly, and this is what Montgomery Watt's theory was, is that Mecca was supposed to be on this trade route, when the fact is that there was no trade route through there. Why? Because it's a desert. That's why. Nobody wants to go through a desert. So they would send goods up through this direction, up into what ocean is that? What sea is that? Is that the Gulf of Aqaba? No, the Gulf of Aqaba is up here.
Gulf of Oman.
What is this called? The Straits of Hormuz. And then what sea is this? I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, here's the Arabian Sea. But this is the Persian Gulf. Duh.
Yeah, Persian Gulf.
Come on, Cap. Yeah, it's the Persian Gulf. Okay.
Come on, you should know that one.
I should know that. I've been there a little bit. Okay, so that was supposed to be a common trade route. And then they would take it all the way from India, offload it down here on the southern point of Arabia, and then travel across land all the way up here to the Mediterranean. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why? Why doesn't that make any sense to do it that way? Why would you offload goods down here and then travel across land when all you have to do is just drive your boat up the Red Sea into the Gulf of Aqaba and then travel just a small distance right there? Or come up to the Gulf of Suez, which is right here, and get it all the way up into Egypt. It just doesn't make any sense. There's Mecca, and they have to travel up how does that go? Up onto the plateau, and then get it up to what is Yathrib, which is Medina, and then go up. And that doesn't make any sense. That entire thing is debunked by just looking at keeping the goods on a ship all the way up there. And then they know that the Nabateans and the Petra were some formidable traders. I mean, this is why the Nabateans became so popular, is because they believed that this trading that they had from India made it easily accessible to them if they came up in this direction, and they would go off, be able to trade with Europe, Egypt, and all the way up into the Byzantine Empire. Okay, so the Red Sea traders never went to Arabia either. So when we look at this is the sin again. This is where they said that they would travel and they would offload it in Jeddah and take it to Mecca. or even down in Aden, they would offload in Aden and travel across land. But that was stupid to do that because it's much more expensive and much more dangerous to travel along land than it is out by sea. And it takes longer also. Let's see here. Was it Alexander the Great went to Mecca? Did you guys know that? That Alexander the Great traveled to Mecca? Does that make sense? That we find that in whose writing was that again? Exactly. Oh, look at it. You guys ever see, if you ever want to make fun of a name of a city, Djibouti. I'm sorry. That's comical, but I mean, it's just Djibouti. That was something we used to say in the army. I'll go to Djibouti. Get off my Djibouti. Okay. And then of course all right. So let's get past this. All right. Okay. So also when we look at the trade route is supposed to be on the Arabian side. Now, why would it be on the Arabian side where there's no people over here? All of the people are on the western side of the Red Sea. So when we look for ports, all of these ports are on the left side or the west side of the Red Sea, not on the right side. We don't have evidence for that. And then plus, look at here. This is kind of important. We know their names. How do we know their names? Because we have history of them outside of Islamic sources. History. I mean, this is how the historical method is done, folks. Okay, Adam is saying that map is wrong. What is this? Map is so wrong. Only Islamic. Right?
Adam likes to play devil's advocate.
We got them Kafir maps there, and I can't believe those. Okay, so you have 5 coastal cities along the Red Sea, going up on what would be on the western side of it. And all of these predate Islam by centuries. And I mean, look at this. This is 246 BC. Whoops, let me get back here. Where's my laser pointer? There's my laser pointer. I knew I could find it right here. This is 256 or 46 BC. Then you have 79 AD. This is at the time that about on the time of the Jewish this destruction of the Jewish temple. And then up here 275 BC. And then you get up into Egypt. So all of these places are they all predate Islam, and also they're within a relatively short distance of each other if you're traveling by ocean. Now you compare that to traveling on land, I mean, it's a huge difference. Were you gonna say something? Whoever was.
No, I just thought that name Safaga. I don't know which one's better, Safaga or
Djibouti. Okay, look, I don't make up these names. It's kind of like Yamamama.
The Battle of Yamama.
Yeah, Yamama.
Hey,
the
now
Battle of
you know
Yamama.
they took elephants. They took elephants all the way through, Mecca and Medina.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Isn't this okay? Hold on. Isn't there a? Is it in is it in the Quran?
Yes.
It's
what? The elephant.
Is that in the Quran? Where they have the elephant?
Yeah.
They have an elephant in Mecca.
Yeah, and Allah called in the first airstrike. They had some crows or something that picked up rocks and destroyed the army of the elephants. Yeah.
Elephant in Mecca. Is that in the Quran?
See, you guys, you know what, you guys, seriously, none of you were there, so you can't know anything.
But
how many liters of water do the elephants drink?
Oh, it's like way too. I did a video on. Here's the funny thing. Supposedly that king only had one elephant.
But guys, these are Islamic elephants. Don't you get it?
Oh,
they can do without water. That's what you're saying, right?
They create their own water.
They drink camel pee.
I was just thinking of that, Rad. I was going to say the camels pee and the elephants drink it.
Okay.
Problem is solved.
Okay, so the year of the elephant, known in Arabic as Yabadabadu, is the name of Islamic history for the year approximately 570. Okay, the year that Muhammad wasn't that supposed to be like in the 750s though? And they dated it. It doesn't matter. Okay, it was Oh, it was the year that Muhammad was born. Okay, the year came to be known as the year of the elephant, beginning the trend, reckoning the years, the Arabian Peninsula, used until it was replaced with the Islamic calendar during the rule of Umar. But I was under the understanding that an elephant, it is mentioned in the Quran where an elephant is, hold on a second. I can chat with these guys. Okay, what is this? The main date. Let me put this on the screen here. Hold on. Let me make sure I don't put any personal information out there. Continue as Eric. Okay, so were there elephants in
I
Mecca?
just looked this up. How much do elephants eat and drink? And it says they drink from 100 to 300 liters a day. So
It's not bad.
And they eat a couple 100 pounds of vegetation.
Yeah, they fly it in by the Barack.
No. It was Solomon's carpet, his flying carpet.
Okay, if you're already logged in, please
Maybe
leave a message.
that was how they did the trade route. It was all by flying carpet. They could have used them.
Okay, where in the Quran?
It was the first Berlin airlift, man, but it was the Mecca airlift. You know?
oh my gosh.
In Mecca. Okay, so I'm trying to contact these guys, and for some reason, I don't know if this is. Okay, so here, let me just show you my screen here. Okay, so were there elephants in Mecca? And then, okay, they want, for some reason, they want to go to my YouTube, not my YouTube, my Facebook account. Now look at the poor elephant here. I mean, he's having a bad day, especially he's falling down.
Well,
I mean, he's got all this sand around him.
Elephant.
Yeah, look at the Apaches. The early Apaches are coming in, dropping the rocks on them.
Oh yeah, there's the Air Force. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. You guys are just hypercritical. Stop that.
Yeah,
okay.
105, verse 1. Maybe that's where the elephant is.
What is it?
Chapter 105. Have you
105.
not seen what your Lord did with the companions of the elephant?
105. Oh my gosh. That's a short one. 105, verse 1. Have you not seen what your Lord did with the companions
of the elephant?
This says Usama says
which is elephant.
Okay. Yeah. Did he not make their schemes go astray? He sent ababil
flocks. He sent
of
flocks
birds on them. They cast rocks, made a baked clay on them, so he made them as devoured straw.
Hey, Eric.
Let me read that again. This is supposed to be from God. Go ahead.
Hey, what is devoured straw?
Okay, hold on. Let me read. I mean, this is the word of God here. Who's Adam? Welcome. Let me mute you. We're getting feedback from you, brother. You want to come up and Mike? Just let me know.
Wait, Steve, what were you gonna say?
Hey, Eric, I got like a 10-second video about this, and it really clarifies this.
Okay, are we going to be able to, Steve? Are we going to be able to share your screen? Can you share your screen, Steve?
Okay. Here, let me share it because I really think this is going to be helpful.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, once Steve shows the screen, let me know because you guys had no Muslim here and it's not fair. It's not fair. Some Muslim has to defend his views, mashallah.
Okay. All right, where's Steve? Okay, hold on, Steve. Hold on, Steve. Steve, restart it. Restart it, Steve.
Okay.
This is a cartoon. What is this?
It's the parade of the pink elephants from Dumbo.
Just how I imagined it.
All right, enough of that.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Mashallah.
You're on your way to Mecca.
It's just you guys are being so skeptical, man. That's all. You know?
Well, I did notice that they had the what was that show? The Do Re Mi Fa Si La Ti Do. They had that on there. What was that called? The Sound of Music.
Sound of music, yeah.
Would have been more.
And that was
edifying.
accurately from when it happened. That was
the accurate historical account.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right because I want to okay, so I want to go to let me go to Ibn Kathir. What was that? 105? Whoa.
Yeah, chapter 105.
Uh-oh.
Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. This is what it says in chapter number 105. So, my brothers and sisters, beloveds, there are 9 of you and only 1 of me as a Muslim. So, brothers and sisters, you need to comprehend this very carefully. Allah said Allah knows best. Did Jesus say Jesus knows best? If not, Allah is God.
Hey, Adam, we need to get you over at Clubhouse.
Mashallah, please do that. But right now, I'm the problem is that Allah knows best, and Allah says, "Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil." Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? That's what Allah said.
Okay, hold on. Let me show. I just noticed.
So where did he deal with his companions of the elephant? It doesn't say that.
We used to have an advert. Was it Bisto knows best? And he goes along the same line as Allah knows best.
Okay, so here, Ibn Kathir. I was actually reading Ibn Kathir last night because I have no life. But look at this. Go to chapter 5, Ibn Kathir.
Not chapter 5, 105, brother. 105. You are too old, brother.
Exactly. Okay, Mr. Muzz. Hold on, let me bring this down.
You're too old. I can see that.
Notice this.
Okay.
You guys see that?
Yeah,
105.
Oh. Where's it
Click on it. Click on it. What
There
you
is.
waiting
I
on?
can't click on it. It's not there.
Well,
Donde S.
All the Qurans are the same. Don't you understand that?
Perfectly preserved.
What's that, Steve?
Jalalain might say something. If you go to Jalalain,
Okay,
you know,
Hey,
so
brothers and sisters, let me tell you, you need to understand. There are certain verses where Ibn Kathir did not say anything in English. He said it in Arabic, but so it is possible. Ibn Kathir does not speak English. You know that, right?
Okay, let's go to Al Jalalain and see what Al Jali, good fellow, has to say about this.
two fellows, my friend.
Oh,
There's
here we
two.
are. There we go. Okay. Verse uno, go. And Al Jalalain, okay, in other words, marvel at the way your Lord dealt with the men of the elephant.
Exactly.
Whose name was
Muhammad.
No, Mahmoud. That's Mahmoud.
Ahmed.
Man from Banu Kanaya defecated. What is that? Defected. I'm sorry. Defected. Defecated is not it. In it. And stained his prayer niche. Is that defecated or is defecated, not defected?
Yes, defecated. Yes.
Yeah. In its prayer niche in the Qibla with the deflowered virgin's blood in contempt. Okay, so when it approached Mecca with its troops, riding, look at that, riding Yemeni, okay, look at that, riding Yemeni elephants with Mahmud.
And the first one, the top one, which is leading all the rest of the elephants, was white. Don't forget that. He was white and his name was Mahmud. And that is why he did not want to enter in the Makkah. You need to remember that. He was white.
Elephant.
He was white because he said, I knew this is the house of Allah and Muhammad will come here. He did not even want to enter there. Ibn Kathir tells us about it in Arabic.
Wow.
That's like the connection
crazy.
in my party. We had a white elephant party.
we have a big white elephant.
Let's go to let's go to Ibn Abbas. Maybe Ibn Abbas.
So for those of you who don't live in the States, white elephant means something entirely different.
Brother Eric, you can show my screen because I'm showing Ibn Kathir. It is not there in QuranX.com, but it is there in the alam.org. So I'm showing that this is Ibn Kathir.
Oh.
You guys like Ibn Kathir? I'll take you to Ibn Kathir.
Okay, we'll go there in just a second, Adam. Yeah. Okay, hold on. We'll go there in just a second. So this is Ibn Abbas said that the interpretation said that it's now seen. Have you informed, O Muhammad, in the Quran how the Lord dealt with how your Lord punished and destroyed the owners of the elephant, the people of Negus, who intended to destroy the house of Allah?
So wait a minute. Are they from Negus or
And he did
someplace
not
else?
bring their scheming to their utter loss. Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't seem like they agree.
This is just absolutely ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So
Somebody say that an elephant.
Wait. So one dude says some dude was taking a dump in a church with virgin blood and rode an elephant. And this other dude says that they were riding an elephant from Negus. Okay, did they even know what the hell they're talking about? Can they even get their story straight? I mean, how to explain this gibberish? Didn't they have a council, a conference or something? Say, hey, look, defecating.
It's the science of the hadith.
Yeah.
Or that's even hadith. That's the crime. That's I'm sorry.
No, I mean, seriously, these people. Ugh. I swear, when they were handing out religions, man, Muhammad was like, "I'll take whatever you got, dude."
Okay. Listen, Darcy. Everyone, pay attention to the elephant in the room.
Well done, Darcy.
That's funny.
You guys have no knowledge.
Okay,
of
Adam. What are we doing here, Adam?
No knowledge of the history. This is Ibn Kathir. He talks about this. Look, Abraha took along a great powerful elephant that he had a huge body like of which had never been seen before, mashallah. This elephant was called Mahmud and it was sent to Abraha from Al-Najashi, the king of Abyssinia, particularly for his expedition. It has also been said that he had 8 other elephants with him, but not 8. Some people says their number was reported to be 12, plus the large one, Mahmud. So Allah knows best. You need to realize that. Allah always
Allah
knows best.
doesn't know. I love it.
So is it either 8 or 12? Because it doesn't say.
Allah doesn't know.
Allah knows best. Ask Allah.
So yeah,
Very
Yeah.
clear.
Okay,
So
this is okay. Who's writing this again?
Ibn Kathir. Oh, sorry, I did not show you. It's Ibn Kathir.
Oh, it is. Okay, so when did Ibn Kathir live? Isn't he like 12th century or something?
Dude, don't you know that Ibn Kathir always received the revelation from Jibreel as well?
He may have. Let me look. I'm going to fact check Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir.
Now check this out. He's giving you a summary of the story of the elephant first. Realize that. This story is of the people of the elephant. In brief and summarized way, it has already been mentioned in the story of the people of ditch that Duhunus.
What a name of the people of the ditch. It's
Ditch.
like
They lived in the ditches. Okay. Dahu Noas, the last king of Himyar, a polytheist, was the one who ordered killing of the people of the ditch. They were Christians and their number was approximately 12,000. Okay, the people of the
20.
ditch,
20,000.
20,000. Sorry, 20,000. None of them expect a man named Dwas Duhda escaped. He fled to Asha, where he sought protection from the Caesar, the emperor of Asham. Caesar was the emperor of Asham at that time, who was also a Christian. Okay, remember that. Caesar wrote to An-Najashi, the king of Ethiopia, who was close to the home of the man. Al-Najashi sent 2 governors with him, Aryat and Abraha bin Ashahab Abu Yaksam, along with a great army. The army entered Yemen and began searching the house and looting in searching for the king Himyar. So imagine, brothers and sisters, this is a story which has a historical consequences. It has Sham, it has Abyssinia, it has Caesar in it, and all of these people are in it. How do you know that it is not the right story and the true story?
It has elephant crap.
but the geography is completely off. Like Ethiopia, if it was a Caesar, it doesn't say which Caesar for which area. So like the geography is completely off. Like
Brother,
Yemen is like completely like Ethiopia is in Africa. Yemen is also in like geography-wise. This story is just like
brother, who told you to look at the kafir history? Allah knows best. I told
Yeah.
you so many times. And when
Okay.
Ibn Kathir throws in all these names, remember, whenever he throws in names, the purpose of throwing in names is that certain people at that time knew certain names. So when they will come to the Islamic story, these people, oh, I know this guy and I know this guy. Ah, mashallah, this story is true. And
Right.
you will see
Exactly.
that
To give it
in
some type of sense of
That's
credibility
all
is
it
what they're
takes
trying to
to
do.
believe something.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Now, how much did you say an elephant drank a day?
80 gallons to 200 gallons.
It said 100 and I have it still up here. It says 100 to 300 liters a day.
Okay. Come on.
And it's
How
not
much
about
is a liter? A
drinking.
liter is like two
A
liters
gallon
is
is
like a gallon.
a gallon is 3.75 liter, but that's not the problem. Elephant does not need to only drink. He has to throw it on top of his body to avoid heat as well. So you
Yes.
need to
Yes.
understand that's like you have to convert it into gallons. So they will say 80 to 200 gallons that he requires every day, otherwise he will not survive in the heat.
But
There's no
in the
way these are
Quran,
gonna-
the elephant is attacking the Kaaba.
Yes. And that is what I did. We sought out that the Kaaba was in Yemen.
Okay, so
There was a Kaaba in Yemen.
I need to add this
the
to my
Kaaba was in
slideshow
Yemen.
of inaccuracies.
It was not in Saudi.
Yeah, because there was a Kaaba in Yemen back in those days as well. And this story could have happened over there. And why not? This story might have happened there. He is from Yemen. He is attacking inside Yemen. And that is why right next to that Kaaba, there is Sana'a. Sana'a is only 40 kilometers from that place. And you have Sana'a Mosque, where you have the largest inscriptions of Islamic Quran, which is called Sana'a manuscripts. So there is a fair possibility that Ibraha and these things were happening there to that Kaaba, and you have Sana'a manuscripts.
Sounds like more evidence for that than it does for Mecca.
Yeah, seriously, and that's what we're on. And we didn't, you know what? And you guys didn't let me get to it today. Mamma mia. Okay, so I guess okay, so this is what we'll do. That's all right. This is
Push it on.
we'll just follow this up on Tuesday. Sorry,
good
Dominic, because
this
I
is
know
well done.
you're probably in bed on Tuesday.
working. It's busy.
Yeah, he's got you have a life, and we're sorry for that. But let me see here. So we are on. Let me minimize this. You guys got to remind me. We are on slide 35 out of.
Okay, next time I will come exactly as a Muslim.
100.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
otherwise you guys
114.
need some Muslim. So I'll come in as Muslim.
Well, if I wanted to talk, this is the thing. If we wanted to talk to Muslims, we'd go over to Clubhouse and we'd join one of Dr. Kufar Phobia's rooms, and we would sit there and listen to him yell at us for 3 straight hours and tell us that we're ignorant and we don't know what we're talking about.
I'm doing one right after your show.
Kafirs.
Mashallah.
What's it on?
Mashallah.
What's it on?
Have fun.
What's it called? Allah in the Quran doesn't know what Trinity is.
No, that makes me laugh. I mean, it doesn't. It's another thing where Allah doesn't know, and he doesn't know what Christians believe. That's the humor of it.
Allah knows. Allah knows. You guys are so Islamophobe. Allah knows.
Yeah.
You got to create words to describe.
Jesus said, "Did I ever said that worship me and my mother beside Allah?" and the Catholics still worship Mother Mary.
We didn't know that.
I'm not denying that.
Prove me wrong.
What about
Well,
Allah's nose again?
that would be a great show too. The Catholic view of Mary. Do they deify her or venerate her? And if they
I don't even know the difference between the two.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We would have to know.
Say there isn't much.
We would have. Well, that would be a different show. However, the other 114 slides that we did not get to today.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to cover. I'm kidding.
It sounds like someone else we know, right?
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll continue this on Tuesday's show, and what I want to do is I want to bring pictures. I want to bring pictures of what I got this Blog Talk Radio lady talking about here. I want to bring pictures of what Mecca looks like, and why we're never going to find why we're never going to find any olive trees or any residue from
Hey, you
olive
need to
trees
bring
there.
for that. You need to bring Lloyd over here on your channel, brother. He have done extensive work on Makkah and all these, and he shows by the evidence of Abraham in the Bible, what he was beforehand.
Are you
He's
talking about? Is this guy the guy from England?
yes,
Okay, yeah.
Lloyd Dijon. So
Yeah.
he's
Oh
already
yeah,
done a
we
part
yeah.
before on my channel. So you need to bring him and give him the stage
He's part
on
of our
that, and
he's
he
part
will
of our
going to do that.
network. Yeah.
Okay. And he does a
Lloyd-
show on what does he do it
yeah.
on?
He's talking about Lloyd.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to his channel. I just don't get over there much. I'll
He's
Yep.
amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
He's amazing when it comes to these kind of things and the history and Sharia. So, but like get him on for the history of the Kaaba, and he will show you.
Okay. History of Kaaba, got it. I'll reach out to him and see if we can get him here.
He's in
All
our
right, guys.
network, so he's part of our live interviews network. So he's
Okay. All right. We're logging off of Blog Talk Radio, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon. I always enjoy these conversations. They are entertaining, informative, but you guys just keep it funny. I mean, just even the pink elephants.
White,
And the
brother,
white
white,
ones.
not pink.
Could I say something though? Really, because if there's, you know, what happens to white people's skin when they're in the sun a lot? White people's skin becomes pink, and so these elephants were white elephants, and then in the sun they didn't have water, and so they became.
They were cursed. They were Edomite elephants.
So they
is what
had to
they are.
dance around as pink elephants. I love it.
They're Edomite elephants. That's right, because they're pink. They're descendants of Esau. Okay.
Brother, it is skin burn. Okay.
It's
They
what?
had less water, skin burn.
Okay.
Less
Well,
water
everybody-
they could not put on themselves, and so they become a little pinky.
Well, everybody have a very happy and wonderful Let's Go Brandon Sunday.
Yeah. All right. We'll pay your $4 a gallon, guys. We will see you next week. Or we'll see you Tuesday.
Six a gallon in California, Habibi.
6 a gallon.
Hey,
That's
if
why
anybody's
pizzas are running
bored,
$50.
come over to Clubhouse and have some fun.
Yeah. Did you post that in private chat?
I posted it on Skype.
All right. Well, we'll just jump over from Skype and do
But
it
if
that
you
way.
want,
So
I could post
jump
it
over.
on
What time are you opening that room?
5:15, right after you.
5:15. Yeah, that's just like in 10 minutes. All right. Gotcha.
All right.
Because you're Eastern. Gotcha. All right. God bless you guys.
Later.
We'll see you Tuesday.
All right.
care.
Good one.
God bless.
And broadcast. There we go.